How to cope with the emotional distance of a loved one. Healing parables. In a quiet corner of the world, where valleys stretched gently and mountains stood proudly, there was a hill. It wasn't the tallest or grandest, but it was steady, covered with grass, flowers, and green shrubs. The hill loved its valley and life, but most of all, it loved the wind. The wind was its friend, companion, and sometimes its closest confidant. When the wind came warm and gentle, it wrapped the hill in soft embraces, swaying the grasses, whispering kind words to the flowers, and leaving behind the scent of distant forests and meadows. The hill felt cherished, needed, and full of life. But the wind wasn't always like this. Sometimes, it arrived cold and harsh. It tore leaves from the bushes, broke the stems of flowers, and carried sharp seeds from afar that pricked the ground. During these times, the hill felt hurt and offended. And sometimes, the wind would vanish entirely. For days, weeks, or even months. On those days, the hill felt completely alone, as if the wind had abandoned it forever and would never return. "Why do you do this to me?" the hill asked one day when the wind was once again warm and tender. "You warm me and comfort me, but then you bring the cold or disappear entirely. It feels like I don't matter to you, like I'm just a place you visit when it suits you." The wind replied gently, though there was a hint of sadness in its voice. "Hill, I cannot be anything but what I am. I am the wind. My nature is to move, to change, to keep flying. There are days when I am calm and soft, and there are days when I am cold and sharp. It's not because you don't matter to me. It's simply who I am. But know this, no matter where I go, I always think of you. I always return." These words brought the hill some comfort, but the hurt from feeling rejected remained. Each time the wind turned cold or disappeared, the hill felt the same emptiness and sorrow. One day, in the stillness of a windless afternoon, the hill noticed a tall tree growing on a neighboring hill. Its crown was full, its branches strong, and its roots reached deep into the earth. The tree stood serene, as if no winds could disturb its peace. "How do you cope with the winds?" the hill asked. "Surely they blow over you too. Don't you feel the sting of their coldness or the loneliness when they're gone?" The tree smiled, and its leaves rustled softly. "Hill, I used to feel the pain of cold winds and loneliness when they disappeared. But over time, I learned that my strength comes from within. Would you like me to share how I found it?" The hill nodded eagerly, soaking up every word. The tree began its story. "The first key is understanding your own nature. You are a hill. Your strength lies in your steadiness. You stand firm, no matter what winds blow over you. You can be covered with grass, flowers, and shrubs, and all of that adds to your beauty. But even without them, you remain yourself, reliable and strong." The hill thought deeply. It had always believed its beauty depended on how the wind adorned it. But now it realized that its value lay in simply being. "The second key is accepting the wind for what it is," the tree continued. "The wind belongs to no one. It is free and cannot always be warm or gentle. But its changeable nature doesn't mean it rejects you. That's just its way. If you stop expecting it to always stay the same, you will feel lighter." These words struck a chord with the hill. It remembered how it had always hoped the wind would remain warm and tender, only to feel disappointed when it didn't. And finally, the tree said, "The third key is finding joy in what you already have. Look around. You have grass, flowers, and shrubs. The sun warms your slopes, and the rain brings little streams that trickle across you. Even on days when the wind is gone, life continues to fill you. If you learn to see this, it will be easier to wait for the wind's return." The hill reflected deeply on the tree's words. The wind was still important, but the hill realized it didn't need to depend on it completely. The hill began to notice other joys. How the sun warmed its sides, how rain created tiny rivulets, and how stars lit up its grasses at night. When the wind returned cold, the hill no longer saw it as rejection. It felt its roots, understood its value, and accepted the wind for what it was. And when the wind turned warm and gentle again, the hill savored the moments but no longer feared their end. One day, when the wind was warm and caressing, it noticed a change in the hill. "You've changed," said the wind. "You used to expect me to stay constant, but now I see calm and strength in you. What happened?" The hill smiled through its grasses and shrubs. "I've realized that you are the wind, and I am the hill. You are free, and I am steady. Now I enjoy your warmth, but I no longer fear your absence or coldness. My strength comes from within." The wind blew softly, almost tenderly. "You have always been strong, hill. You just needed to see it for yourself." From that day on, the hill and the wind remained companions. The hill no longer felt rejected, and the wind loved returning to a place where it was welcomed with understanding. The end.